News.
And good morning. It is 20 minutes after 7 o'clock, and joining us in the studio this morning from Oasis Computers, John's back with us. Good morning, John.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Good. Of course, for folks not familiar, John joins us once a month there, and of course, he's the owner of Oasis Computers, and well, what he does there is technology. He rebuilds computers, he repairs computers, he sells computers, he does everything with technology here, but a lot of it dealing with fixing problems, because especially in this world we live in now, computer chips and everything else are still on that, where computer pricing and things like that's still a little weird. So a lot of people are, making good with what they got and extending lives and stuff. And John's really good at helping people get more out of those things. And maybe, when it's time to replace, John will tell you, but it's like, you know what, if you're just doing this with it, we can do this, and you've got a few more years out of this thing. So that's the kind of stuff John does with people.
Yep, so. If it's worthwhile anyway. I'll let you know if it's not worthwhile, I'll tell you too.
Yeah, and that's something that you've always been, very upfront and with your customers. And it's like, look, yeah, I could do it your way, but it's a waste of time and money. But
right.
I could do it this way. It's going to save you some money. It's going to be probably more satisfied with the end result here. And let's go that way. But at the end of the day, you do what your customers want. So,
well, if it works for you, that's what's important.
Absolutely.
I had one in yesterday, and brand new. Didn't know how to set it up, what to do with it.
Okay.
Wondering about antivirus. We got into it, and then it of course needs updates. If you want to be safe, let's update it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a Windows 11 machine, but it's a really low-end one.
Okay.
64 gigabytes of memory. It's more than half full already.
It was one of those bare bones.
So the downloads went kind of slow in the install, and they were looking at me like, it seems to take a long time. And, of course, it comes out, it's kind of a piece of junk. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes, Now, if it works for you, that's fine.
Sure.
I compare it with a car. If you just drive in town, you do, grocery shopping, maybe for business deliveries in town. You don't even get out of town. Do you need a fancy, expensive car that's luxurious and
Sure.
and good to drive in? No, maybe not. Chance that you ding it up, whatever. Going that maybe a cheap one is fine for you. But, don't consider it to do the things you expect out of a car normally.
Exactly.
So, and then everybody seems to have one item that needs more power somehow. Otherwise we'd be using Linux or something.
Right.
You always need some kind of a thing that is only Windows or
piece of software or something. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but that's where you got to find that balance of what's right for what you need. So and that's where, John, you sit down and help people. And it's like, say someone wants a computer built for them. And, they may come in with all kinds of specs and things. But John's like, well, what are you trying to do with the computer?
Right.
You may come in and be like, well, I want a blank terabyte hard drive, blah, 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 and this and that. It's like, that's wonderful. Okay.
Do you need it?
Let's tell me what applications, what things are you trying to do with the computer? Are you playing games with it? Are you storing movies on this thing? Are you doing is it going to be part of a network with a bunch of other computers? What's the purpose of this? And that really dictates on what some kind of certainly software, but some of the hardware and what type of hardware you need. If you're one that does a lot of movies and things like that, you're going to want something with a better video card and things.
Change too. A movie does not necessarily need a good video card; just need a good screen on it more than anything else. But the games and some technical software, CAD programming, whatever, things like that.
Or if you're producing these things, if you're making movies and making those kind of things.
If you want to make stuff like that, you need more power.
Yeah, so that's where
but for most people, it's. I think most people that have a computer at home have it because it's more convenient. I mean, it's a bigger screen. You can see it better. You can do some more things, and you're used to it.
And let's face it, screens now are a lot bigger, different. Like you can get monitors for your computer that now they're curved and long. I've seen some that are literally 6 feet long and curved. And this is like as part of a panel, it looks like something out of Star Trek.
Right.
and that's where monitors are at nowadays for actual, desktop PCs and things.
Yeah, some things are kind of overkill, I guess. But
it is cool to look at. I ain't gonna lie, you feel like you got your own little command center when you walk in there.
Of course, I've got 3 monitors on mine. So
Yeah.
before we had the long stretch ones.
Yeah.
And it does work for me.
Good.
It's got more to see on it that you can copy and paste in between and whatever. So
Sure.
yeah.
And stuff like that makes it. And something else that John's talked about, since we're talking about monitors here, if you're having trouble seeing things and all that, and you're thinking, well, maybe I need to upgrade the video card or something. And no, maybe if you go, maybe upgrading to a 4K monitor or something that's a little more high res, you might end up seeing the stuff better versus you getting thicker glasses or a bigger monitor.
Right. We've mentioned it before, the people that have come in, and I'm not an eye doctor or whatever, but it's obvious. You look at an old monitor and they want bigger, and then it gets even worse because it's not as sharp.
Yeah.
And you can't see it. Now you get a smaller monitor that's, one of the 4K or something like that. Suddenly it's like, oh, I can see that much better. But it's much smaller. Well, because it's sharp.
It's sharp.
Personally, I think that we finally can get more of a paperless office because the monitors are sharp enough.
It's actually...
I think the reason why it never worked, that we didn't do paperless office, because it's too hard to stare at that screen that's fuzzy, blurry, whatever.
I guess if you got an office of 20-year-olds that have young eyes, they can do it. But when people get up in
No, it doesn't work. It's not, it's the thing that got my attention when Daniel was still around, we got the Microsoft Surface that had like a 4K screen on it. And when we turned that on, it's like, whoa, look at it. Looks like a real thing, whatever. And Daniel said, you know what it looks like? It looks like that piece of plastic they put on when they sell it to you to make it look like something, what's printed. And that's really sharp. And indeed, it looks like that. So you can stare at the screen much longer because I guess you don't have to...
Your eyes don't have to compensate or something?
Yeah. It's like printed on a piece of paper now.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's actually less, less headaches,
less stress,
stuff like
less
that.
headache, and it works better, it seems like.
So if you're having that kind of issue, maybe the answer is not a bigger monitor, but a sharper monitor, and that's where
that seems to be important.
Yeah.
It seems to come up every time people have trouble seeing. The sharper monitors are indeed much better, not necessarily bigger.
Gotcha. But but again, this is come on down to Oasis, talk here with John. He'll be happy to kind of give you that.
Check out what your needs are.
And then one thing we talk about every time John's here that we want, and quite frankly, I think John would be out of business if people actually listened to him.
No, there's one more. There's one more player in the field, and that's Microsoft.
Okay,
if Microsoft would make the stuff so it will work,
that'd put you out of business.
I mean, one day a week.
Well, till that happens.
No, it's 90% is the fixing from half is passwords.
Sure.
And the other half is Microsoft's mess up. And it's not that they mess up, it's people don't understand it.
Sure.
Your screen goes black for a lot longer than what you're used to.
Yeah, the changes make sense to someone in the technical world, but to the lay person, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's not that it doesn't make sense, but you turn your machine on, and it takes you, with the modern machine, solid-state drive in it, 1 minute to get going. Okay, now you get updates, whatever, so you see your logo coming up, whatever the manufacturer name on the screen. That goes away, and you start leaving a little circle thing, and that starts going, that goes away, and then it's black. And then it's black for 1 minute, and for 2 minutes, and for 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes maybe, and
you're like, something
the user from the computer goes like, something's wrong. It's not coming on. It's not even, the screen is black, and if they miss that first part, they may think it's not on at all or something. Nothing
and start
on the
hitting
screen.
buttons again.
So what do you do? Well, what have we told everybody for so long?
Yeah.
If it don't work,
Reboot.
turn it off and start it back up. Wait half a minute, start it back up. Well, at that point, you just messed up because now you got to start from the beginning again. You get the same thing over, and it will run through that black screen till it's finished. And you'll never get finished. So many of them get brought in. We turn it on, and I look at it, and it's like, no, wait another couple of minutes here. And then suddenly it comes up, and it works. Of course, what did you do to make it work?
Yeah.
Well, I waited longer. So, but that, that's not normal. That happens every... once a year for a person, maybe.
Sure.
Sometimes you miss it. Sometimes, you're
and that's
busy.
just it. Sometimes these updates do take time and if you're not paying attention, like you said, and you think something's going wrong, it's just a bigger update, or it requires more.
Right. It's just like with everything
time.
in it. If you look at how long something takes to copy, it starts off and it says take 2 minutes. And then you watch it, and then it says 15 minutes. And you watch a little longer, it says 1 day.
Yeah.
And then it goes back to 1 minute, and it's done.
Yeah.
Updates.
But for a minute there, you're like, something's not working right now. I don't have time to wait a day.
It's not what you would expect. If you give somebody how long it takes, you expect that if you see 10% done, that it's going to take the other,
sure.
You can figure out how long 1 minute for 10%. So that is 10 minutes or something?
Yeah.
Should be done about in that. No, it may be faster or slower or whatever. You don't know.
Just depends on that first 10% may have been quicker to go through than the next 10% or whatever it is. So it's one of those things where sometimes you just let it do its thing and it'll do its thing even if it takes longer than you anticipated.
That's what the problem is. How long do I wait?
Yeah.
Do I wait 10 minutes or half an hour or a day? Well, that varies depending on the machine you got.
Sure.
I've had one machine comes to mind last year somewheres. Year and a half ago, it looked like everything was doing normal. It's an old machine, though, so it is old, with a spinning drive in it still, whatever. And it's like, I don't know, let it sit. So it set till lunchtime, and it's like, well, no, nothing lost.
Right.
Come back after lunch, still sitting there, but I'm busy with other stuff. Well, I'll check it out at 5 o'clock, and it seems like it's still going. It doesn't look like it quit or something, give me the feeling. So let it sit overnight. In the morning, it was done.
Wow. So it just really needed a long time.
Retrieving data from a damaged drive.
Sure.
Sometimes, half an hour to 5-6 hours maybe. But I've had them up there that run for a month and a half and actually got the stuff.
Wow.
So you don't know.
I'm starting to think John has the patience of a saint. If you're willing to wait a month for something to update.
Well, you put it in the corner and leave it do its thing,
Yeah, I know. I still would want to be nosy and start fiddling.
Well, it's one of those, don't get too many of them. So you start wondering, will it ever finish?
Sure.
And as long as you don't need that machine for another project, whatever, let it run.
Sure. Yeah, but sometimes you I just want to see what happens.
Right.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But either way, John can help with all this kind of stuff. And of course, if you're looking to get a new computer right now, and just like what we were talking about earlier here, you get what you pay for on everything in the computer world. And when it's those deals that you get at the big box store that's a super, entry-level cheap computer, if you're not doing heavy lifting on that thing, if you're just getting on your Facebook and checking email every once in a while, that's probably all you need.
Well, that machine that just came to mind that was in yesterday, it is very slow. What may not be necessarily the biggest problem. It takes a little longer, whatever, that may be okay with you. But then it also has only 64 gigabytes of memory and already 43 is used. You got nothing left to put it on.
Sure, so you're not storing anything on this thing.
Yeah, so the customer in that case said, well, I want to put some music on it. Well, you better put it on an external device or something.
And that's just it. There's other options there.
Right, and then on the lower price machines, a lot of times that gets all soldered on board now. So you can't upgrade your hard drive or whatever. It's because it's all chips.
Well, make sure they give you enough USB ports.
Well, yeah, USB.
Or whatever the next generation is.
Have you heard about a USB 3.1 and what is it called, 4 now?
I knew they have the newer generations, yeah.
Well, yeah, but there's a big problem with it.
Is it? Okay.
If you plug a certain cable in, whatever you think it may do may not work because of the cable.
Oh.
Or it may not work because you think you have USB, and then you've heard, the small USB plug now.
Yeah.
You've heard that it can do video too. No, only if it has lightning attached to that port. So you have 5 or 6 different features that the port can do.
Very confusing.
But they may not be on your port. There are symbols for it that's supposed to tell you what and who. But for the average user, it's like, what?
So do you think at some point they're just going to standardize that and it's going to be the one port and it handles it all at some point?
Well, that's what USB is supposed to do. But
right.
The problem with it is that the USB, I don't know what all it can do. It can, of course, copy files over, connect the mouse up, do video now on the USB 3.1 with lightning on it. But your computer may have a port on it that can't do those things.
Right.
It can only maybe copy files and hook a mouse up, or it can have a certain speed that you think may be faster, but yours doesn't it because it's not the latest one.
Gotcha.
And then I guess where most of the problem comes in is the video. And then if I get this right, the cables now with the latest iteration of this USB port, if your port can do it all, but you have the wrong cable, there's cables that can only really charge. And if you put, data, I think they can do too.
Gotcha.
But video may not go through that cable. So your port may do it.
It's kind of like, in a lay term, it's more like an indoor versus outdoor extension cord. Like the outdoor ones can handle higher voltage and things, and you want to use them for more higher. But those little kitchen ones don't
think
handle
more of
the
it.
bigger.
Something like your extension cord. This cord can hook up a light.
Okay.
If I want to hook up a lawnmower or something like that, it can't do it.
Gotcha.
It will just not do it.
Just have the capacity.
Yeah, it's not made for it, and then the thing on the other end does not work. But if you hold the cords side by side, they look the same.
Yeah, and that's
confusing.
Yeah, if they're going to do something like that, they need to make it so it's a completely different looking or port.
Right, and again,
something that doesn't confuse people.
Yeah, you introduce a lot of waste in that case because you think USB is USB, so you get everything there. You get the USB cable, and you go, oh, that one is $24.95, and this one is $6.95. The $6.95 probably be fine.
Yeah.
But you may find that it doesn't have the capability that you need.
Do you think it's an evolutionary thing where at some point it's going to standardize to one thing and handles all, or are we going to have to try to figure it out? If
you look at most everything, it eventually sort of standardizes to a certain, couple of things.
Are we in the beta VHS wars with this stuff right now, and now they're just waiting to see which one takes hold kind of thing?
Yeah, I think it's the companies that design something and they want their stuff to work, and then some of it works together and some of it doesn't. It's, I don't know.
Gotcha.
It's just, it's just
but it's kind of a cluster right now.
Yeah, or on our end, we just have to deal with understanding what it does. It's the same thing as buying the wrong computer. If you don't understand what you need, too many times I hear, well, it's a computer, right? Well, yeah, it's a car, right?
Yeah.
You got a Yugo and you got a...
That's a steak, right?
Truck,
That's a sandwich, right?
Yeah, an 18-wheeler,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, that's a steak, or, sure, that's a ground chuck steak, or this is a porterhouse. They're both steaks.
Yeah.
One is very expensive, one not as expensive.
And the other one is a lousy hamburger.
That's right.
It's just... We all know that.
Exactly.
So education is the thing. And then what I see everywhere in every industry, everybody wants to use their own, acronyms for it.
Sure.
The PSU is bad. Power supply unit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Why didn't you say that?
Yeah.
So, but every industry does that. To a certain extent, we say PSU because it's just shorter, easier to say, but many people are, what?
If you talk this all day, then you probably use those terms. But if you're talking to people that don't, then that stuff's not part of the vocabulary there.
Right.
So.
See, when it comes in the door, and most people never been there, get surprised that I kind of attack it right away if I can, if I'm not too many people standing there. Power supply again. To come back to that's bad, and you plug it in, you start it up, and you go, it looks like a bad PSU. That's a power supply unit. That's this box in here. See, this box that does all the power conversion for you. Oh, that's what it is. So you hang another one up to it, and it works.
It works like a
champ. Goes out the door again if you can.
That's generally a pretty easy fix for most computers. It's just swapping out a component.
If it's just like everything else again, for 90% of the computers, they're all simple and straightforward. Yeah. And then for the other 10%, there's 100 different types.
Yeah. And let's face it, a power supply is not as integral in working with other components in the computer as, like, say, a hard drive or something would be. So there's probably less moving parts to align
a fan
with a power supply than there would be, say, a hard drive or a sound card or a video card. You know what I mean? So
yeah, the capacitors are the ones that are most of the problems.
Gotcha.
Especially if the machine gets dirty, it gets too hot. Capacitors exponentially lose their lifetime as they get hotter.
Gotcha.
So if they run at the temperature that they're designed at, what was a chart said, 120 years. Now, if you up that temperature double, so let's say what's a good temperature to run at 70 to 90 degrees in that. But when you get over 90 to 110, 115 degrees, you may reduce that time to only like 5 years.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's a substantial difference.
Hence, one of the reasons why, like, you go out to dairies and things, and those computers that are sitting in unair-conditioned rooms probably have a shorter shelf life than, say, one that's been in an air-conditioned office.
Well, those have even more trouble. There is some kind of an odor in the air up there. The odor is very corrosive.
I got you. There's a lot more corrosive elements than just the heat that's an issue
we have
there.
had a couple of these little nooks that I do. Take the cover off, something wrong inside, dirty, whatever, fan bad. So you take it apart, and then the cabling that goes to on most of them, you can put an extra drive in it. There's a little cord going from the board to that drive. It's very short, but all the insulation crumbles off of it. The machines come out of a dairy.
I guess that air and just the
waste from the cows.
Everything, just
and
the chemicals in the air, just kind
I
of
want to call it nitrogen, but that's not what it
methane.
is. No, it's the, whatever. Can't think of it.
Yeah, CO2 or whatever. I don't know, but I didn't do well in science. but that makes sense. Just like it's like when you go in like in a city and you go to like the New York Tunnel or something like that, and the air quality inside there is usually hazardous to your health if you're lingering in those kind of things. So same kind of condition thing, but. And it's no different with any other equipment, if you think about it, too. If you had a couch sitting in there, that couch is probably going to get destroyed a lot quicker than if it's sitting in an office.
Right.
It's no different with a computer, and it's very much even more so susceptible to the elements and other things. So you got to consider
especially
that.
the regular ones. There's some special built ones, but then you pay so much for it, and you can buy 3 of the other ones.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and then the kind of computers that work, it's kind of the only people buying them that can afford them are probably like U.S. government and things like that, because they can overpay for a laptop because it's made to be indestructible, and
Well, it depends on what you do. You got put the computer in a car, carry it around with you all the time, go everywhere. You may spend extra on it, so when you bump it, drop it, whatever happens to it, you don't have to buy another one.
That can get expensive pretty quick if you keep doing that. So. But whatever your computer needs are, that's where John can help you with. Whether it's and of course, if you're having network issues, things like that, he can help with that kind of type stuff too. So, basically, and we'll talk here. We're getting to that point anyway. We're in the mornings is when John handles his service or his in office calls and things like that. The stuff that's happening there at the store, and then after lunch. That's when he'll go and like do the big heavy work. If you've got a computer that needs some real work, he'll do it.
Right.
If you have to go on a service call, that's where that happens. That time.
Yeah, with the coronavirus, we lost Daniel. He didn't come back. He's now somewhere at the East Coast for people that are interested in him.
Well, as long as he's happy.
Well, I have no idea, but
if he's happy, that's what matters.
That's where he wanted to be, East or West Coast, so he got to move.
Good.
And then Grant passed away. He had a massive heart attack.
Yeah, a couple years ago here.
It's about a year and a half ago, I think. So anyway, when Daniel left, it's like we're not going to get everything done. So we decided to close at 1 at a time. And that was still a little long for the problem I have at the home with the wife, So we made that bring it in no later than 12, and I'll leave at 12:30. Well, since he's in a little better shape, he's moving, thank God, forward a little bit.
Good.
It's a little easier now, and if I'm running somewhat later, it's not such
a little bit
problem.
of grace period there to
So
something taking a little
somebody
longer
comes
than
in now at 12:30. It used to be I need to leave. Now it's like, okay, I'll look at it real quick.
Cool.
So that works now.
Good.
I can be a little bit more flexible.
Yeah.
And then, to get everything done, what was the amazing part of the whole thing is that we were busy the whole day and didn't get much done. At least that's what it felt like.
Right.
And now being open in the morning, you sit down in the afternoon and ignore everything else and get work done. And
so you're able to focus on the things that need to get done.
Right.
You don't have to triage a bunch of stuff. So,
we don't do phones and tablets anymore.
Yes.
That's, something had to give. But that goes to the competitor, James, so the Roswell phone doctor.
So
send
he
everybody
can
over
handle
there.
all those
Yeah, that's what he
screen
does.
repairs.
He used to be the competitor, and now he's the one that gets all the work from me. So, just can't do everything, you know.
Well, I imagine he probably sends some stuff your way too when you need.
Yeah, we've always worked sort of together.
Yeah,
you know.
that's always good
Pretty
to have
good.
that kind of
Yeah.
relationship. But so if you're having those computer issues, please come by in the mornings, like you said, Monday through Friday. Usually get there. What about 8?
I'm most of the time there no later than 7:30.
Okay.
I try to get there kind of around 7. Get
Okay.
ready for the day. As soon as I get there, I open the doors up.
Okay.
Days like today, I'm always a
You'll be a little
late,
bit later,
and then
yeah.
sometimes, people standing there already. But then in general, between 8 and 10, it's fairly quiet.
That's the
So
sweet spot for people.
Yeah, we tell everybody, come in at 8.
Okay.
Got a much better chance of getting a better response out of me instead of having to go between 10 people that
Right.
suddenly come in.
Makes sense.
It seems like around 10, it gets busy. By 12, it kind of eases off again.
Gotcha.
And
So
then-
right around 10 is probably the high
And
water
then
mark.
always call if you have an emergency, whatever. I do man the phone. I do
Yeah.
pay attention to that. If I miss it because I'm on the road or whatever, I'll always check if anybody called. If it looks like it's important.
Leave a
something is
message.
down. Yeah, leave a message. I'll try to help in which way I can.
Good deal.
If I can. So,
But
yeah.
leave a message. You don't return no message calls.
No,
You
if I just
leave
see a
message.
number, unless I know who it is,
Yeah.
whatever it may be, but in general, I don't know who's
Yeah.
attached to that number.
Leave the
so-
message, and then John's like, "Okay, you
Right.
need some help. I'll give you a call back as soon as I got a
Right.
free moment." So.
Yeah, if it can't wait, you don't get me until in the morning, come in at 8 o'clock. If it's something that, sometimes it's, you just turn it off and on. Oh, really? That worked? So it may be worthwhile to leave a message at least.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, maybe he can explain
Right.
it simple with saving you a trip sometimes. So
Well, we do pay some attention to what comes in through the email, but that's slower.
Okay.
Email gets done. I'm not the kind of person that gets all the notifications. They're all turned off. I can't get work done if I do notifications.
and I imagine a lot of your customers, they don't email you because their computer's broke, so they're going to call you.
Texting, texting is coming in a little bit, and email a little bit. But
Okay.
I keep telling everybody, just call me.
Yeah, call
Yeah, it
and
seems to work
come in face
this
to face.
case,
So
yeah.
all of this works. And then of course, hey, I did while we got real quick. Now that we're another month down with solar, how's that? Is it still going well for you?
Yeah, it's doing great. It's,
John flipped his business and his home to
Right.
solar, and I've been-
$0 for electricity. There's a
Good.
cost involved. I have a light that's supplied by the electric company.
Yeah.
I don't know what it costs, $20 a month or something like that. There's one at the house. There's one at the store. So that cost is still there unless I hook it up to mine and cancel that. But, it is convenient. They take care of it. It works.
Good.
And then there's a hookup fee to be hooked up to the grid. So
Yeah.
at night, daytime, you feed it in. So I get 2 emails every month for each location.
Sure.
One says you owe me this much money for the hookup and the light, and it's more for the store than it is for the house. I
Okay.
guess that's because it's a business. I'm
Gotcha.
not sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then I get another email say your electric bill is 0. So the actually electric used, I still send more into the grid than I take out of the grid.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And that's got to be good.
That's definitely a good
Good
thing.
on the wallet, definitely.
Yeah,
It just
imagine.
makes a
Once-
difference.
How I'm curious now that we've had a few storms and things. How have the panels and stuff held up at your house?
Panels
And-
seem to be just fine with no
Good deal.
problem with it. There's
Good.
no scratch on it. As you
Good.
can
So they're
see,
pretty
whatever.
durable
They-
and been
yeah.
pretty good.
Somebody
Good.
told me they walk on it sometimes.
Oh, good.
They're
Okay.
strong or something.
I wouldn't recommend that, but you.
No,
you know,
but
it's good to know
apparently
you
can do
could.
it, yeah. And then the hailstorm we had, what was that, last year now?
Mm-hmm.
That in August or something. It was a bad one. And that was before it got installed on me. And the guy that was talking about it said, yes, we did have damage from all the equipment that was installed on it. There's a little antenna on it for wireless on the equipment,
Mm-hmm.
so we can communicate. And one house had the antenna knocked off.
So that's
But
probably
the
pretty
panels
cheap.
were fine. Yeah,
That's a
it's
pretty
just
easy fix.
Screw up the antenna again.
2-minute job there.
Right.
I'm guessing. So yeah.
Right. So
Okay.
that got hit by
Well, it sounds like it's all a win-win. That's a good thing.
so far so good. Biggest
I love the
problem is
practicality
if
of
you have a
stuff.
problem with your roof and you put it on the roof,
Yeah, that could be a problem.
And that's a little problem there right now at the store. The last rain we had, 2 weeks ago, in the corner was still leaking some or again.
So maybe when you get a new roof, maybe right after that's when you need to consider putting the solar panels on.
Happened at the house, and the roof at the store had been up there about 6-7 years.
Yeah.
And was just checked over because it was leaking with that rain. Also, the same rain I'm talking about from last year.
Okay.
It had been leaking, so they said the spouts on the exit were causing the problem. They fixed that. And in between, it's been working fine, but it was leaking again the last rain, the big rain we had.
Yeah.
So we're supposed to come out and have a look at that. So.
All right. Well, more to come there. So if anybody has any questions, give out the phone number to the store there.
575-625-9141.
Very good. Like you said, call that number, leave a voicemail if you don't get John live here. And like I said, come on by Monday through Friday. Like you said, 7:30. But if you're there by 8,
yeah, just
he's there.
I'm supposed to be there days like today, maybe a little late.
Yeah.
8 till 12:30 is when I should be there.
Good deal.
Try to bring it in no later than 12, of course, because you need to have a look at stuff and take it in.
Absolutely. And then give out your address.
Picking it up is easier. You know, if you're running late with picking it up, it's just kind of, it goes out the door.
Yeah.
And then, yes, the address is 1703 North Garden Avenue, right behind the Wool Bowl Stadium.
Yeah. Oasis Computers. Can't miss it there. Come on by.
Very good.
Come for a visit. Come get your computers taken care of. And, of course, if you have questions about anything from technology related, if you're wanting to, you hear things like cutting the cord or getting off, and you want to know what kind of components and things you need, John can talk you through all that stuff. So very good.
To know what the best internet is, stuff like that, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Good deal.
And ask the question.
Absolutely. Can't ask. You won't know unless you ask. It's pretty, it's usually the way to learn. So, John, as always, appreciate the visit. I'm sure you got a few people probably waiting on your
maybe
expertise.
Not. Still early. It's not too bad, but
usually when you're late, someone's always waiting. You know what I mean? It's like a Murphy's Law or something like that. Yeah, it just is. So, good deal. Well, thank you, John. As always, we'll see you next month, if not sooner.
Very good.
All right. Take care.
You too.
It is 7:52. Let's pause for some news. Kim Commando.